Stark, we got him.
Banner?
Just like you said.
Then tell him to suit up. I'm bringing the party to you.
I don't see how that's a party.
Trust me everyone, this party in particular is gonna be a fun one. Anyways, welcome back true believers and all you merry Marvelites to another very exciting Marvel games related video, specifically this time talking about the recently announced Iron Man VR. So in case you missed it, the very first title that was announced during PlayStation's State of Play live broadcast was actually a brand new title from Marvel Games. And even though we were all initially speculating that this was going to be Avengers project footage, it actually turned out to be a brand new VR title from Marvel Games specifically relating to Iron Man. And speaking as someone who does actually own a PSVR headset, as well as reading all the details that are included within this game, I can say that this is going to be a very interesting title to play through. So after PlayStation showcased the new trailer during the State of Play live broadcast, Marvel and PlayStation on their own official websites did promote more material relating to the game. And not only do we get a very awesome look at the game's box art material, but we also get a brief description as to what the game entails. So similar to how Spider-Man PS4 is simply named Marvel's Spider-Man, the official name of this game is in fact Marvel's Iron Man VR. And for the description of the game itself, it states, don the PlayStation VR headset to suit up as the armored Avenger in an original Iron Man adventure. Using two PlayStation Move motion controllers, fire up Iron Man's repulsor jets and blast into the skies with an arsenal of iconic Iron Man weapons at your fingertips. Face off against Iron Man's greatest foes in high-stakes, action-packed battles. Upgrade tech in Tony Stark's garage to customize Iron Man's sleek suit and awesome abilities. So as the trailer showed, we'll basically be flying around the skies in Iron Man's armor, taking down a plethora of bad guys in a very fashionable way. But what I find interesting about this description is that it does state we can customize Iron Man's sleek suit and awesome abilities. Now, whether or not this means that we can customize the equipment that Iron Man has within his armor, or actually customize how the armor looks itself, I do think that will be a very interesting gameplay mechanic to see be played out. But to describe the game in even further detail, Marvel Entertainment did post an entire article thoroughly going over the entirety of what the game has to offer, titled Marvel's Iron Man VR to arrive exclusively on PlayStation VR in 2019. The ultimate Iron Man fantasy in VR. And even though the exclusivity aspect should have been a given during the very beginning of this PlayStation Live broadcast, the article does go on to state, announced at the first ever PlayStation State of Play. The Ultimate Armored Avenger experience, Marvel's Iron Man VR, is hitting PlayStation VR exclusively this year, thanks to Marvel Games, Sony Interactive Entertainment, and Camouflage. In Marvel's Iron Man VR, the player who plays as the genius inventor Tony Stark confronts ghosts from his past, powerful forces who seek to ruin him and everything he stands for. By fully embracing the magic of PlayStation VR, players will come face to face with iconic allies and supervillains as they jet around the globe on a heroic mission to save not only Stark Industries, but the world itself. Seen in the announced trailer above, legendary Marvel illustrator and costume designer Adi Granov envisioned the Impulse Armor, a brand new armor for Iron Man which, like the game itself, provides a sleek and modern twist to Tony's classic comic book designs. So to briefly recap this first whole paragraph, this classic looking Iron Man armor within the VR game is actually a brand new design which was made by the artist of Adi Granov, who, if you don't know, made the Velocity suit within Spider-Man PS4 and other Iron Man designs. So seeing that Adi Granov created an entirely new Iron Man armor design just for this game alone is really cool to say the least. And to point out another interesting detail from that first paragraph, it does state that alongside facing off some really interesting supervillains, we'll also encounter some iconic allies as well. So whether or not that means we'll be able to encounter with some Iron Man AI like Jarvis and Friday, or maybe the Avengers themselves, is still up for debate, but we'll just have to wait and see until the full game comes out. Although I will say, if we are by some chance able to interact with the Avengers in a first-person VR perspective, that will just be a really cool experience to see be played out. But to move on with the article itself, it does state, developed over the past 2 years, Camouflage with Sony Interactive Entertainment and Marvel Games leverage the strengths of VR to make the gameplay, including flying, shooting, and action, feel naturally on the PlayStation VR platform. And moving on to an actual quote from one of the game's developers, he does state, we've set our sights on not only giving the player thrilling moment-to-moment action, revealed Camouflage director Ryan Payton on the PlayStation blog, but also a deeply personal and appropriately funny narrative that puts players in Tony Stark's armored shoes. Payton referenced his first Marvel comic, Iron Man number 290, and the entire Demon in a bottle's story arc as the storyline that drew him to the fun nature and complexities of Stark, of the man behind the armor. As for another quote from one of the game's developers, since he took flight in 1963, Iron Man has perfectly symbolized the evolving marriage between cutting-edge technology and humanity, said Marvel Games VP and creative director Bill Roseman. Now players, like the Armored Avenger himself, can jet through the skies and see the world through his helmet's high-tech HUD, while blasting away at threats that harness Tony Stark's past to threaten Iron Man's future. Iron Man is the superhero who seems most perfectly suited to virtual reality. To enter into the world of VR, you need to suit up by putting the VR headset on your face, which is kind of like getting into a multi-billion-dollar suit of flying armor, just a lot more affordable and less dangerous, said Marvel Games Director of Production Eric Monticelli. Tony Stark, with his technological genius and outlandish personal flaws, has long been a favorite character of mine. We're honored to be collaborating with Camouflage and PlayStation to help launch this original Iron Man story into the VR play space. Until next time, back to the garage. So just like Spider-Man PS4, it really seems like the Marvel Games team and the main developer of this project with Camouflage are extremely passionate about the character they're making the game off of. Not only have both Camouflage and Marvel Games fully done their research as to how Iron Man should be portrayed, but given the small amount of dialogue that we did receive in this trailer from Josh Keaton as Tony Stark, I think we are in for a real treat when the full game releases. And if you weren't aware already, one of the villains within this game, or possibly the main villain within the red hologram that we do see at the very beginning of the trailer, is actually the Iron Man villain named Ghost. Now, if you're an MCU fan, you'll probably recognize Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it does seem like they are taking the female route just like they did make her within that movie. So seeing that we're getting a very fun and interactive story along with some really interesting gameplay mechanics within a first-person perspective, I do think this will be a very fun attachment for you VR owners out there. And even though we don't have a solid release date yet, it's really nice to know that this game will indeed launch sometime within this year of 2019. But what makes this game the most interesting for me personally is that it is indeed a PlayStation VR exclusive game. And seeing how Spider-Man PS4 is indeed a PlayStation 4 exclusive and the Avengers project is said to be a multi-platform title, we don't know whether or not this is tied into either of those games, but if by some chance it does actually turn out to be in a one-connected universe, that would make this game even more interesting to see be played out. But again, we'll just have to wait and see what type of story this VR game is going to tell once it does fully release. But until that time comes, everyone, that's the video that I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you personally excited for Marvel's Iron Man VR? And if you did have the opportunity, what other Marvel character would you turn into a VR game? If you do recall, there was actually a first-person Avengers game canceled a while back that was supposed to tie into the very first Avengers movie back in 2012, so if they were to somehow make a VR Hulk game, I would actually like to see that be played out. And speaking of Iron Man, if you are a big fan of the character, myself and my buddies Ismazing and Mikhail Conley will indeed be doing a review of the most underrated Iron Man show out there of Iron Man Armored Adventures. So if you are personally a big Iron fan as well as a huge fan of that show overall, I definitely recommend that you stay tuned to this channel to see that video be uploaded. But until next time, everyone, thank you all so much for watching. Stay merry, Marvelites. Peace out.
How's your Monday going?